I would now like to talk about the assumptions we make when we flip the classroom. And I'd like to talk about the ability of teachers. I'd like to talk about student abilities. And thirdly, I'd like to talk about teaching context or the teaching environment. Let's begin by talking about teacher ability. If if a classroom is meant to be flipped in a correct way, we have to make the assumption that the teacher is actually in a position to decompose concepts and skills into short and engaging instructional videos. So, unlike traditional lectures where a teacher can just talk for an hour or so, and just keep on rattling on, if students are meant to be engaged in the learning experience, it is important that the teacher is able to choose, kind of organize the learning content into specific topics that are short and easy to digest and quite engaging to students. So instead of having one single video presentation that will last for an hour, he has to be able to cut this down into perhaps 4, 5, or 6, maybe at the most, video presentations, consisting of maybe 4 or 5 minute or 6 minute video presentations, which focus and revolve around specific, discrete learning materials and skills. Secondly, we also assume that the teacher actually is in a position to engage and support students. So it is not enough that a teacher therefore pre-records a lecture and posts it on Moodle and leaves it to the students to kind of do what they need to do with their learning journey. The teacher must continue to be engaged with the student. So when, for example, you either have the face-to-face sessions or when you have an online synchronous session, these are opportunities actually for the teacher or the university lecturer to engage more actively with the students, even on a personalized and one-on-one basis. To talk to them, ask them questions, find out, is there anything that needs to be clarified, and getting students to engage in group activities, work on problems, work on more complex information, and trying to advance their knowledge by probably even working on projects or creating learning artifacts. So it's important that the teacher continues to be engaging, continues to support students. And so in other words, if what teachers do is that they then do away with the face-to-face sessions, or they do away with the online synchronous sessions, then the opportunity for the teacher to actually engage with the students disappears, and that would be very bad. There is therefore a clear need for teachers to be able to create short and engaging video presentations. And for a lot of us, it's not easy to come up with a video presentations because we haven't been typecast into something like Brad Pitt. So in that case, you're kind of, I don't want to appear on video and just talking to myself and recording myself. But at some point, you just have got to do it. And who cares about how you look? At the end of the day, you're probably not going to be judged by how good looking you are, or it's more about your ability to inspire students and motivate them to really engage more with the learning content. And the other underlying assumption is that the teacher actually knows how to have a strong facilitative presence in an online learning environment if you happen to need to facilitate online synchronous sessions. Because it will be tragic if during the online synchronous sessions, for example, all that happens is that the teacher is just going to be there and say, okay, do you have any questions? And if there are no questions, and then that's it. That's the end of it. The teacher, as we will try to do during our workshop, the teacher must be able to get the students to engage during this online synchronous session, so that the strong presence of the teacher continues to be there. Now, in terms of student ability, again, there is a strong underlying assumption here. And one of those strong underlying assumptions is that the students must take responsibility for their learning. So this is no longer an opportunity, this is not, if you flip the classroom, you cannot have spoon feeding going on. You cannot flip a classroom and say, I've put the lecture, I've put my lecture in a video format, and if my students fail to watch the videos, then I'm just going to have to do the lecture again during the class time. That defeats the whole purpose of the flipped classroom. So the assumption is students are responsible enough to, to do their own learning, and you expect students to actually access those education resources prior to class time. And if they fail to do that, that will have to be their problem, because you cannot fix all their problems for them. It also means that students therefore have that discipline enough to find the time, and the discipline enough to really engage with the resources on their own without having to be prompted by the teacher all the time. And the third underlying assumption we make is that students actually are in a position to understand the content or the information or the knowledge that you're trying to share with them in these video lectures. And in terms of the teaching context, the other assumption is that we must be able to meaningfully look at the differences in learning context between having a face-to-face session and an online synchronous session, because obviously the learning experience for both is quite different. And so the teacher therefore must be able to adjust the way that he or she engages with students, because obviously if you speak of an online synchronous session, you're first of all mediated by technology. There is a computer that mediates between you and the student as far as learning is concerned, and there could be problems with the technology. It could be that because of poor bandwidth, students are not able to actually see you on video, or it's not possible for students to engage with each other, and the video, all the video icons must be shut down, or it's only one person who's able to speak one at a time, and that can cause problems in the learning environment. So these are some of the assumptions that we have to consider.